Take you a quick drink. It's Chords and Coffee. We're doing our best to lead a good life, encourage one another, and do it all with a guitar in our hand or something like that. Take you a quick drink. Bell Bottom Blues. Bell Bottom Blues, it's one of my favorite tunes, especially like from that era, that kind of 70s era. And I really hesitated to do this one because we just did the Layla outro, and I thought, well, that's probably too much, but I don't know. I think this is a pretty timeless song, and I also think it has a really interesting history, and it's interesting to me for lots of different reasons. Number one, this is in the key of C, and there's a key change to A, and there's another song about the same person that does the same thing. Stay tuned. And what I mean is, this song is about someone. Also worth noting, if you're trying to play along with the record, the song, if you're tuned to standard, it's just a little sharp. And yeah, I just checked my tuner here just to make sure I wasn't lying. I just tried to play with it. And so I would imagine that when Tom Dowd was producing, engineering this, or somebody made the call to, back then on those tape machines, you could change the pitch. You could just speed it up a skosh, and maybe they just thought it needed to be just a little faster. Of course, when you did that, it changed the pitch to do that. And so changing the pitch and changing the speed of the recording, or the tempo of the recording, was all the same thing. And so maybe they just sped it up a little bit. It sounds good, who cares, right? But it's worth to know, if you're going to try to play along with the original record, you're going to have a little trouble. Now, there's umpteen million different versions of Clapton playing it live where you won't have any problem playing along. As the story goes, and there's a great YouTube that you can go find that'll actually lay it out even better. It's called The Weird History of Layla, or Layla is Weirder Than You Think, or something like that. Anyway, so Clapton's playing with the Yardbirds. The Yardbirds are opening for the Beatles, or some band. They were opening for the Beatles, which is a huge deal. And George and Eric meet, and they hit it off because they're guitar players, and their mutual love for guitar brings them together. Imagine that, right? So then they end up getting down the road, and still kind of remain in contact. George kind of admires Clapton because he's sort of passionately and very devoutly pursuing being this blues guitar player, whereas George is writing the hits, man. He's with John and Paul, and they're huge pop stars, right? Different path, right? Not that those are mutually exclusive, but I think you know what I mean. So then George ends up calling him in to play on While My Guitar Gently Weeps. And of course, that's a huge deal for Clapton. Clapton's starting to get his own sort of rise to fame. George had married a woman named Pattie Boyd. And then later on Abbey Road had brought out Something in the Way She Moves, which is a song written in the key of C that has later this little, you're asking me, will my love grow? Key change to A. So then George, of course, that's a hit. And then he's trying to find himself. The Beatles are not doing good. And he kind of takes a leave of absence. And George and Patty and Eric had, spent some time together as friends do. But Patty and Eric spent a little too much time together, right? And Eric ends up writing, what do you do when you get lonely? While George is off, right? And so he writes Layla, plays it for Patty, and then she ends up leaving George, going with Eric, and he ends up writing Bell Bottom Blues for her. So there's 3 incredible songs written for Patty, and she was inspirational. But isn't that interesting? In Bell Bottom Blues, also in the key of C, and there's a key change to A. So she was inspirational, no doubt about it, but the woman needed 2 keys to tell her story. God bless her. All right, so Bell Bottom Blues, how do we play it? It's a really great tune. It's a great song to play with another guitar player. And look, there's as many different shades of blue as there are. There's that many shades of lonely, and we've all felt it. And so this is one of those songs that typically in some way, didn't have to be the infidelity that the story is based around, but it could just be just feeling lonesome. Everybody can kind of resonate with Bell Bottom Blues. And it's a really, it can be a really powerful song to play, especially as you get into that big chorus. So let's break it down. It starts off with this B, C, D, and then a C chord. So how am I doing that? I'm going B on the 2nd fret of the A, middle finger's fine. Ring finger, just like I'm getting ready to post up on this C chord on the 3rd fret of the A. And then an open D, and then C chord. Good old cowboy. C index on the 1st fret of the B, open G, middle on the 2nd fret of the D, ring on the 3rd fret of the A. And I'm counting this like 1, 2, 3, 4. So each chord more or less gets 2 beats. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what are the chords? You got C, and then you got E7. Probably the first E7 that you might have learned, index finger on the 1st fret of the G. And then open D, and then middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A, and then pinky on the 3rd fret of the B. And there's a few other ways to play it. I might show you some of these. We'll see how my stream of consciousness does here. But there's an E7, and then we're going to go to A minor. Index finger on the 1st fret of the B, ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D, and then open A, then open E, open high E. And then keep that all right there, and then have your pinky come down here and play this G notes on the 3rd fret of the low E. So... F, and for this F, for some reason when I'm down here, you could do the regular big ol' F, nothing wrong with that, but I tend to want to do this one, the kind of the Hendrixy F, where you got your index finger on the 1st fret of the high E, the B, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G, and then 3rd fret of the D with the ring finger, just good old F, and then the knuckle of your thumb hitting that F on the low E. Right? And you go. So there's a little maneuver here. The E7, and then A minor over G, and then F, and then G, and then that little. Let's see. That kind of lick right there, but. So you're just doing this little F again, and I like to take my little pinky down here on the 3rd fret of the high E and just go, and then up to that G. Or you can go to good old cowboy G, you know, where you've got middle finger on the 3rd fret of the low E, first finger on the 2nd fret of the A, open D, open G, and then 3rd fret with the ring finger on the B, 3rd fret on the high E. Okay, and then at this point, you can go back to bell bottom blues, like that, or you can go bell bottom blues, whatever you like, but you've got B, C, D, and then E, or like we did on the intro. Either which one you like. That high one is open B, 1st fret of the B, 3rd fret of the B, and then that open E string on the C chord. Bell bottom blue made me cry. And there's so many little licks and stuff. This is why this is such a great song to play with somebody else. Because if you're playing it and singing it, or even if you're playing the chords, somebody else is singing it, there's just a gob of space. Because the way the tune was recorded, you know, we've become acclimated to that. And there's all this little lickery that's happening in there, right? And so it's a fun song to play. I don't want to lose this feeling. And then if I could choose a place to die, just the same thing again, it would be in your arms. And then at this part, go to A. So when you hit this A, now this is the key change. This is what I was talking about, because just like in something in the way she moves, right? Drags me like no other lover, and something in the way she moves me. No one leaving now, no one believing how. Right? When he goes to that part that goes to A again. Isn't that interesting? Am I the only one that feels that's interesting? If you think that's interesting, or if you don't, awesome time for a comment below. Moving back to the song. So we got, do you want to see me crawl across the floor? You So this is A, and by the way, this is a high song to sing, so you're gonna have to yell it. Also, fun, because if most people, especially most people I would say that are, I don't know, I think it's safe to say, you know, in their 40s and up, know this tune, and they're probably singing along with you, especially what's coming. But you just got good old-fashioned A. A lot of times when I'm playing, this just, confession, this never feels great to me. This A here, where you've got everything on the second fret, D, G, and B all on the second fret, hate it. And then this one where they teach you to do it like this, where you have your index finger in the middle and then the other two on the other side. I get it, I get the ergonomics of it, but I don't like that one either. Well, Nate, who are you to question the great Mel Bay? Well, I'll tell you what, this is Chords and Coffee, okay? We go a little against the grain every now and then. I like a one finger A. What's wrong with that? Not a darn thing. And you can also put your pinky up there if you get to feeling funky about it. Like if you're worried about that F sharp sort of inviting itself to the party, like the uncle who wants to stay the night on your couch. You can get rid of it, just put that right there, all right? Or heck, for that matter, you can do a two finger A, make it A sus2. I spent too much time on the A. But there it is. Moving on. So, do you want to see me crawl across the floor to you? Now that, when you get to that, that's an E over G sharp. A couple different ways to do that. Let's do it this way first. I've got my index finger on the first fret of the G. I've got my middle finger on the second fret of the D. Pinky's going to be on the fourth fret of the low E. And by virtue of this being on the fourth fret, I'm actually muting the A. Do you want to see me? Right? And then I'm going down to the F sharp minor. Another way to do it. So, especially if I'm already right here. Do you want to see me crawl across the floor to you? So this one finger A with my pinky here on the fifth fret, right? And then, now I know this looks weird. It almost looks like a face, like a weird, like Muppet. Look at that. Anyway, but it's actually not that bad, and it's insanely useful for lots of different applications. More on a future Chords and Coffee on that. Index finger on the second fret of the D, ring finger on the fourth fret of the G, pinky on the fifth fret of the B. What does that look like? Well, that's basically like a D shape slid up here. But I'm doing with these fingers. And then your middle finger is going to hit that fourth fret of the low E. And if that feels hurtful, your thumb needs to be underneath your index finger. And actually, you might experiment with that, because as I'm playing that, mine is sort of in between my middle and index fingers. But do you want to see me crawl across the floor to you? And then F sharp minor, and I'm just doing good old index finger straight across the second fret, building an E minor underneath it on the fourth and fourth of the A and the D, and then this guy laying on top, and then D, and then D, E. Sorry. Now, if you're like, man, Nate, I love you, but you lost me. Those chords are too stretchy and they're too hurtful. You can do just a good old two finger A. Do you want to see me? And then just a regular E, and then you can do this. 3-finger F sharp minor. Or, so this would be just 2-finger A is going to be on the D and the G string, right? And open B, and then good old E, index finger on the first fret of the G, you know, E chord, and then second fret of the D with the ring finger, and second fret with the middle finger, good old E, and then this guy. You can do it like this, but I like it like this, even though that looks like, no, that looks stupid. Well, it's because later on, what you're really making is an F sharp minor 11, because you got this B note in it. And later on, when you slide this shape around, then your index finger will actually have a job. But right down here, because this open B, it doesn't need to do anything. How do I make this one? Middle finger, second fret of the low E, skipping the A altogether. Ring finger, second fret of the D, pinky, second fret of the G, and then everything else opens. It's a pretty chord. It's not technically what they're playing there, but it might work just fine, especially if you're doing like an acoustic thing and just need some extra jangle, right? So, do you want to see me crawl across the floor with you? Do you want to hear me beg you to take me back? Now, if you don't want to do that G over F sharp, that's fine. Any combination of this stuff will work great, okay? So one more time. Do you want to see me crawl across the floor with you? And that's just D, E at the end of there. Take me back. Here we go. I'll gladly do it 'cause I don't want to fade away. Give me one more day, please. And this is A to A major 7. So just good old A. And on this one, I am doing the one that I hate because I'm making that move instantly right there. You could just slide that up and then slide this down, but whatever. All right, you do you, boo. All right, so anyway, right there, good old regular A, everything on the 2nd fret, on the D, G, the B. And then now, index finger on the 1st fret of the G, middle finger, 2nd fret of the D, ring finger, 2nd fret of the B, A major 7, and then take off the index finger and have just that open G, so that I don't wanna fade away, very high, and then D, E. Now you might be thinking, that's close, but that's not right. You would be correct, because up here they have, this is what's really happening, this is what you really hear. Great. So all this is an A, and it's way up here, but don't think of it as that. Just think of it as a D chord, just good old D, slid up all the way up here to the 9th fret, so that you've got your middle finger is on the 9th fret of the high E, ring finger is on the 10th fret of the B, index finger is on the 9th fret of the G, and then pinky is on the 11th fret of the D. Why? So that I can strum from the A and kind of sort of very almost like a piano kind of lilting between those notes, picking those. And when I'm doing that, I'm going down, down on the A, D, and then using my 2 fingers right here to pick the high E and the B, and then the B and the G. This little activity comes up in several different tunes, especially anything where you've got 1, major 7, dominant 7, 4. And that's a lot of tunes. In fact, I think I did a Chords and Coffee on that with, there's a lot of Beatle tunes, you know, Something, Lenny Kravitz, Ain't Over Till It's Over, Saltwater by Julian Lennon. There's more out there. They're just not coming to me at the moment. Adagio by Khachaturian from Spartacus. It's a classical thing. By the way, if you're not listening to classical music every now and then just to kind of reset your palate, I mean, don't get me wrong, living on a steady diet of Merle Haggard or Beatles or whatever is great, but occasionally you need to throw in some classical in there just to kind of reset the old chord finder in your brain, because sometimes sometimes you just need some fresh melodic harmonic content just to kind of cleanse the palate. Quick PSA. So now this little maneuver looks complicated, but you can do this, okay? You've got this guy right here. I just showed it to you, okay? And then one more time, I feel like somebody needs it. So middle finger is on the 9th fret of the high E, ring finger 10th fret of the B, index finger is on the G string of the 9th fret, and then pinky is on the 11th fret of the D. And then now you're just gonna lay this guy flat, right? And so your index finger is gonna be covering the G, the B, and the high E, whilst this is still here. Now, you could arguably not even worry about that 11th fret at that point and just do these guys. In fact, you can not even worry about the D string and just do this. And that might be what that guitar part is actually doing. But if I'm playing this for just another guitar player, this is the way I would do it. Now in this one, we got to take a leap back once we get to this back one here. You're going to go index finger on the 7th fret, and then ring finger of the 7th fret of the D, and then ring finger on the 9th fret of the G, middle finger on the 8th fret of the B, and then pinky is on the 9th fret of the high E. I don't wanna fade away, and then give me one more day, please. And this is just index finger on the 5th fret of the high E, and then pinky and ring are kind of glued together. Pinky is on the 5th or the 7th fret of the B, ring is on the 7th fret of the G. And you can hit that open D if you like, because it's nice. And then slide it up to this E, okay? And this is all presumably while someone else is going A major 7, A dominant 7, D, E, and these two things married together while you're both singing. And then to get back to the key of C, we got F, G. Well, the other guys didn't. Let's see. What's really happening is it's one of those pedal steel licks, but it's hard to do on acoustic here, so I'm just that kind of thing. And to do that, I'm just doing 13 and 13, and then 12, and then sliding up to the 14th fret, and then back to the 12th fret. So that whole thing again is, again, I don't wanna fade away. Give me one more day, please. I don't wanna fade away. So high. And then we got this F coming, F to G, and then back to, right? And away you go. So there it is. And if you listen to the song a few times, you'll get the form of it, because that's literally it. There's really only those pieces. The solo is over the verse, and he does this really great thing where he's just, you know, and the stuff that he plays on there, he does some of that, some little pinchy harmonics, and there's some other just. It's just a beautiful tune. It's really a beautiful tune, and I love it. And it's another one of those roll the windows down and find a long stretch of highway and drive out there, especially on the I don't want to fade away part. You want to find you some place where you can scream that at the top of your lungs, beautifully out of key, and you know, get over whatever it is you're driving away from. I think it's a timeless song. What do you think? What are other timeless songs that you'd like to take a look at? Or is there something else off of that same album? Because there's some great stuff on there. I'd be happy to take a look at it. You know, we've already done 2, you know, third time's a charm. So let me know either which way. I sure do love hearing your feedback. I love it when you contribute to the live feed every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central. That means a lot to me. And there's also a lot of, I think, some really insightful conversations that happen on there. So make sure you want to jump and be a part of that. So all you got to do is just hit a remind me, or it's the notify me button on the YouTube. And that way when it comes out, hit that live button, and then you'll see all the folks that are talking. And, you know, we're talking about guitars and songs and encouraging one another, because that's what we do here on Chords and Coffee. You guys are the most encouraging community guitar players out there on the internet, and I'm proud to be a part of it with you. Thank you for watching this. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you again next Saturday morning at 9 a.m.